I really wasn't planning to make another video, a third video about the floor. And you know that if I'm posting a video that I wasn't expecting to make, it's not usually because something great happened. So Mary, what happened? Why are you making another video about the floor? Well, I'll let the floor tell you that.
How do you keep on going when everything you know is falling to pieces? How do you keep on rolling with the punches without something to believe in?
I didn't have any plans to do anything with my entryway stairs. I like them, you know, they're done in basic school bus. They have the black ribbed tread with a white stripe at the front for visibility on each step. And you remember I spilled all that white paint on them. Honestly, I wasn't even really thinking about it. I wasn't that concerned because it didn't look that bad. And the steps were kind of like they weren't really even on my radar. You know, because I'm not trying to turn this bus into a house like a lot of people are. I like it. It's fun living in a bus. So I don't mind that it still looks like a bus. But I happened across something at Home Depot and it gave me an idea. So I decided to jazz up the steps. So I just kind of roughed it in and it looked really cool. So I thought, boy, it would be fun to extend this all the way across the cockpit floor to the driver's seat. So just kind of on a whim, just sitting there, I started pulling up the rubber. The rubber that I put there 3 years ago. So let's back up to my original build. I don't have any documentation or anything because, you know, I wasn't doing this then and I didn't even really hardly take any pictures. So I'd completely forgotten about the condition of the cockpit floor when I got the bus. The rubber on top was in kind of rough shape and I pulled it off and I found a sheet of rotted out plywood underneath and I couldn't figure it out because I didn't find that anywhere else. I had stripped everything in the back all the way down to the metal and I had actually put the original plywood back in because it was in such good condition. Except the cockpit. I couldn't see why, but I decided to just replace it. Then I got some black rubber mat, you know, the kind with the diamond pattern on it, and I brought it right to the edge of the stairs and I glued it down to the plywood and I never really thought about it again until I pulled up that mat. The plywood was so soaked with water that it had separated into these thin sheets. I'm talking like paper thin, just completely delaminated. It was totally destroyed. All the way back from the step, all the way back to behind the driver's seat. But I could see the metal floor underneath, and other than like a really small amount of surface rust, it looked like it was fine. So I was baffled. How is it getting into the middle layer of the floor? Because there's no wetness on the floor above it either. The rubber doesn't have a wall connected to it or a window, so it's not like water was running down somewhere and getting in. It seemed like the only logical place for the water to be coming from was underneath the doghouse. The gasket isn't really on right, you know, came back that way from its last visit to the shop. I figured it had to be just splashing up on a wet day when I was driving, which, you know, there's a lot of wet days here, thank you, New England weather. And somehow it was getting under the rubber. Judging by the condition of the plywood that was there when I got the bus, I'd say that this has been happening for a long time. This is not a new problem. It's been happening since before I owned the bus. The doghouse was going to have to come off, but when I tried to take it off, one of the bolts was fine, but the other bolt, I couldn't even get it off. It actually broke my socket. So I called Justin because he has a lot of sockets, and he also knows a lot of things that I don't know, so I figured he might have something to contribute to this. He's super busy right now, but he agreed to stop by on his way home. The only problem is I didn't know what time that was going to be because we didn't get to have that part of the conversation and he had to run. He showed up exactly as I was starting this Zoom meeting that I was in charge of that I couldn't walk away from. And so I was like running back and forth, letting people into the waiting room on Zoom, and shooting it was the last thing on my mind at that point. He took off the stuck bolt with the breaker bar. That's the first thing he did. And then he took off the doghouse. Then he pulled off the gasket around the doghouse and it was full of debris. And it also just wasn't on right. So he dug up all the crap out of the crevice and then reseated it so that it was on there correctly. But really the gasket, it has to be replaced. I don't know how I'm going to source one because it's not like Ford's still pumping them out for their 30-year-old vehicles. You know, I found a bus supply place that has one that they're calling universal, but I never believe anything's universal until I actually see it in my universe. So we put the doghouse back on. We made sure it was on there really good. So that solves the water intrusion. Now I just have to deal with fixing the floor. I didn't really have any tools that I thought would work that well for this, so I went to Home Depot and I bought one of those multi-tools. The one I got was the cheapest one they had. It was $100, and it's corded. The cordless ones at Home Depot were really expensive, like they were 3 times as much. I found a DeWalt 20 volt for super cheap on Amazon, almost like, what's the catch cheap? But I didn't find it till after I had significantly used this one, so I don't think I can return it to Home Depot. I don't think that would really be right, so I'll probably get the DeWalt when I hit the road. I'll probably sell this at some point. I thought it was going to be super simple to take out the floor once I had this tool, but it's not simple. It's not simple at all. As it turns out, there's another layer of rubber underneath, and the wood is glued really well. And the parts that are totally waterlogged, I can just tear those out with my hands, you know? But the other parts, it's harder to get them out. So I decided to take it all out, like all the way back to the top of the stairs, because there's not really any reason that there needs to be plywood there. It actually created the problem, I think, partly because it lifts the floor up to such an extent that the doghouse, like, it kind of has to be raised a little bit. So I know I'm probably using the multi-tool wrong, but I thought it was helpful, but I didn't really think it was, you know, like doing the trick, you know, like actually getting the wood really up. So I used a large drill to make holes really close together, as close as I could get them, and then I drilled until I felt the bit hit metal. Then I used the multi-tool saw blade to cut between one hole and the other. I didn't really love this thing, honestly. It just doesn't seem that powerful, and it was smoking like the very first time I used it. It usually takes me a while to burn my equipment up. It got crazy hot in like 5 seconds, and the speed control is in the trigger, so that's a little awkward because you kind of trigger it by accident a lot. But I think if I could get more comfortable with it, this could be a really incredibly helpful tool, though. I mean, it did help, and there's certain things I can really see using this thing for that I don't have any other tool to use. Seems to be an adhesive in here that's very liberally applied, and that other saw, the little blade, can get right under that adhesive really well. With some time and some patience, I got a lot out, and then it all went to hell in a handbasket. So I told you I was going to go all the way to the top of the stairs, right? I had no idea, but the stairs themselves, I've never even heard of this in a bus. The top step anyway, it's made of wood. Everyone else I know in a bus, their stairs are metal. So what I did when I thought I was actually just cutting out the wood that was on top of the stairs, there's nothing under there. I actually cut a hole in my stairs. So now I have that to fix on top of everything else. It just, it never gets easier, does it? Well, it all makes good stories, right? That's what I keep telling myself. So I'll give you an update later on. I mean, this job is so far from done. There's just no way I'm going to be able to finish it and make a video unless I wait at least a week. So I'm going to put this out there, and I guarantee you there will be one more video at least about the floor, because now I got to fix all this. And then I also ordered some really cool rubberized paint and some cool colored mats, and I'm gonna do up my entryway really cute, and so there's gonna be a video about that too, but that will hopefully be a happy video. My plan for ending this video was to say, you know, it's nice to know that something can look so bad and so destroyed and still be able to be fixed. And I don't doubt that this can be fixed. I'm just a little farther from it than I thought. The more I try to fix things, the farther away I seem to get. Oh well. More mistakes, more learning. Yay. More floor.